Hey everybody, Nelson, alcoholic addict. It's not my real name. I use a pen name here at LOL Sober. You can probably hear the fans going in the background as I record this because for the second time this month, my house got overwhelmed with water from a hurricane. It was passing through Connecticut. And I went downstairs last night at midnight and the water had begun to creep in. And for the next 5 hours, I bailed water almost without stopping. It was about as tired as I've ever been in my life. And it happened in the middle of the night. It was just gallon after gallon till 5 a.m. And yet it just kept coming. It just kept coming and coming. I was probably, scooping 9 pounds of water out for every 10 pounds pouring in. I felt like I was trying to fight the ocean. I really did. The whole time I kept praying for God to please make the rain stop. And it didn't stop. All night, didn't stop. And I got a little frustrated with my higher power because I wanted my prayers to be answered. It was excruciating. But the whole time, I also realized that that's not really how prayer is supposed to work, is it? Hey God, I need something. Give it to me, okay? It's not really how it's supposed to go. So by about 5 a.m., I was exhausted. I couldn't keep going. And by then I figured out I just needed to let it go. I was not going to be able to stop rainwater from pouring in. I think we got 7 inches in like 6 hours. That's a lot of water. So I figured out, I need to let it go. My basement was completely flooded, about a foot of water, a crazy amount of water, and I couldn't control it. So I walked upstairs and I climbed into bed. I had nothing left. I had this like defeated, haunted feeling in my stomach, and I couldn't quite figure out at first where it was coming from. And I thought maybe it was just like a normal feeling that any person would feel as their basement filled up with water and you feel powerless watching it happen. And there was definitely some of that going on. But there was also something else that I could sense, and it wasn't until I laid down in bed that I finally was able to put my finger on what was underneath that feeling. And I think it was that scooping the water reminded me deep down of how I lived for 10 years when I was active in alcohol and drugs. Just total chaos, trying to keep the lies and addictions going, barely keeping my nose above the water, hanging on for dear life, knowing that like the end result was inevitable. In that case, it was go to rehab or die. Those were my choices. In this case, it was that the clouds either stop pouring rain down that ends up in my house, or it stops. It either keeps raining or it stops. Those were the two things, and I was powerless. The situation was unmanageable. And so when I lay down, I actually fell right asleep, and I rested pretty easy. My wife got up a little bit later to get the kids ready for school, and she took over scooping some water, and I slept peacefully for a few hours because I knew it was like beyond me, and I woke up, and we finished cleaning up the water. The rain did stop. I spent the entire morning dragging ruined carpet, boxes, other stuff out of the house. It sucked, but it is what it is. And I ended up spending the second half of today with this strange feeling of like, I guess you'd say gratitude, as weird as that sounds. I'm just so glad, as bad as it is to like have your basement just ruined. I'm glad that feeling of panic, of like barely staying ahead of this impending storm, it's something that I rarely experience anymore. At least not figuratively. Like literally twice in the past 2 weeks. That's a lot of flooding to actually have happened. But it's an infrequent feeling these days, and I used to spend, I don't know, 20 hours a day, every day for 8 to 10 years, almost round the clock, trying to keep my addictions going. It was like doggy paddling to try to survive, and that's no way to go through life. I'm glad I don't have to live like that anymore. So now I am taking my beaten down old ass sore body and I'm going to bed early. So thanks for letting me share.